All right, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Tonight is going to be a little bit different format than normal. We are going to talk a little bit about the business, but a lot of you have been asking about our plans for the future of Well Life, which I've been mentioning in the corporate calls and training that we're going to be adding some additional content. So we've been working with some world-renowned experts on everything from tax strategies to investing to real estate, relationships, marriages, a lot of different topics. And so, one of the things that I'm going to ask you all to do is if you would like to see different topics covered in our Well Life platform, we would love to hear from you. So, you can do a support request or you can send an email to concierge@brightlife.com. And we are going to be putting together this content. And so that is going to be launched later this year. But we've been working behind the scenes on relationships and some contacts that are world-renowned speakers and experts in these areas. And you're going to hear we are going to have some guest speakers in Vegas. So there will be more of this coming, but a lot of you have been asking about the market, and I've been making some posts about crypto and about the stock market. So tonight I thought it's a Sunday night. This is going to be a short call, but I just wanted to talk to you about some things that I'm watching. A lot of people have been asking about my predictions. I told all of you to go back and watch the video that I made about the network marketing industry and about retention on August 10th. It's in the Bright Life training videos on August 10th of 2024. And I predicted this Modere bankruptcy. I didn't predict it specifically, that company, but I knew companies, not only Modere, but others are in trouble in the product space. So I think it's really important that you guys go back and watch that video because I filmed that after Rodan and Fields had terminated their distributors. And so I gave you some insight into our retention. Now, if you were not on the corporate call earlier, I talked about where our retention is, and I'm blown away. It looks like we're going to have somewhere around 45% annual retention on our first members that joined a year ago, which is wild, crazy. And that's literally more than 4 times better than almost 4 times better than what Herbalife's retention is at 14.5%. And that's our first 12 months, and it's going up. Some of our members that joined after our first 90 days, it looks like the churn is going to put us at like 60% annual retention, which is unbelievable. I mean, this has never happened before in the history of the industry. So if you want to know about this, I think it's important for you to go back and watch that video from August 10th. Now, I've done multiple videos on the market and on crypto, and I've put several posts out on Instagram about things that I'm following. So I want you to all start watching, okay? In the mornings, I start my routine the same way every day. I watch CNBC or read CNBC, and I also get a lot of news from Twitter. One of the reasons why I go to Twitter is I follow certain people. I follow world events. I feel like I get things faster and more real from Twitter. Obviously, you have to fact check things, but CNBC is the only news channel I watch. I don't even watch Fox anymore because I just feel like Fox has their narrative. Obviously, you have other media stations that have their narrative, but CNBC is business news. So these are the things that I'm watching, okay? And this is important. I made a post, and you can go to my Instagram page. I made a post back in December, and I think it was December 19th, 2024. And I talked about what was happening in crypto and in the market. And I missed the market top in the stock market by about 10 days. And I called the top of the crypto market, except for Bitcoin. I missed it by about 4 days. I sold Bitcoin and Ethereum. I sold Bitcoin at 97,000, Ethereum at 3,700. And I told people in those videos, and I have several posts that weren't even posted in that. They were in my story that I can share. I told everybody that Ethereum would go to 1500. And at the time, it was 3700. And I had people hating on me. I had hate messages. I was getting daggers left and right. Kind of like I made a prediction in November also that Shadur Sanders was not going to be a top 5 pick. And people were saying he was going to be the top pick in the draft. So completely unrelated. But, I get it's so crazy the responses I get from people when I make these predictions. I'm just telling you what I'm looking at and what I'm watching. But the thing that made me post it on December the 19th was the VIX. So if you go back and look at where the VIX was in December, when I made these videos and I made these predictions, the VIX was at 12. Now, what the VIX is it's the volatility index. And what happens is when the VIX hits 12, traditionally, and you can go back and look and you can follow the charts, there are dramatic market moves. Okay. So anytime it hits 12, there's dramatic market moves. So I made this prediction on December 19th when the VIX hit 12 and the VIX spiked and it went up to about 20. Okay. And so that prediction was spot on. But I said then at the time, about a week or two later, that was just the beginning. And so literally that was the top of the market. It was the top of crypto. It was the top of the stock market. And in that video on December the 20th, I talked about the stocks that would be down 50%. I gave, and you can go watch the Instagram post from December 19th. I mentioned stocks that were highly leveraged, stocks that were going to be affected by interest rates being higher for longer, that would be affected by a recession. I started talking about the recession back in October. Okay, so there was another video that I posted on my Instagram page in September and October talking about how the recession is coming. People don't want to talk about it. And so you can go back and watch these videos. But the VIX was a very important indicator. Now the VIX has been around 30. So the VIX is, and it hit like almost 50 a couple weeks ago when the market really tanked fast. So that was like a 400% increase. If you would have bought the VIX at 12, because the VIX runs inverse to the market. When the VIX is really low, market really high. When the VIX spikes, the market is dropping. So that volatility index is one of the things that I watch. The VIX has stayed up. That tells me that the selling is not over. In fact, most of these stocks now that were down huge, the ones I predicted, ServiceNow, go look at that chart. Go look at Airbnb. Go look at Carvana. Most of those stocks are almost back to where they were a month ago. They're not back to the December highs that I told everybody to sell, but now they've created this double top. A double top, you can do some research on it, is basically where a stock forms a V. It goes from somewhere, drops down to a trough, and then goes back. A double top is a really bad sign in the market. A lot of major drops happen after that. And that's exactly what's happened. We've retraced a lot of the losses from the last month, and we've made it all back in a week. Okay, so in my opinion, the selling is not over. So if you're long anything right now, I would suggest getting out of any long positions and going short if you know how to do that. If you don't have a stock trading account, the easiest one to open is Robinhood or E-Trade. So if I was you, I would open a Robinhood account or an E-Trade account because you can make as much money, if not more, when the market goes down as when it goes up. But you have to know how to do it. And so we're going to be having experts that are going to be part of Well Life that are going to be talking about this stuff, that are going to be talking about stocks. They're going to be talking about how to short a stock. I'm going to be doing some talks about options trading, which I've been doing for 30 years. And these are just going to be additional value adds that we have for the Well Life platform, because the reason we chose the name Bright Life is because we wanted to have a balanced lifestyle. So we want to hear from you. We want to give you content that you want to learn about. And so this is not our core product. This is not what the only thing we're about, but this is just added membership value because our community wants it and we want to share this with you. So we're going to be bringing in experts at our events. We're going to have guest speakers. We're going to be doing some trainings. We'll be doing some videos, just like Corey does with wellness. we're going to be doing on investing. We're going to be doing on real estate. We're going to be doing on crypto. We're going to be doing on stocks. But we're not selling, trading. We're not doing any gimmicky bots or any kind of illegal stuff. This is just about helping you have a more balanced lifestyle and teaching you things that they didn't teach us in school. I think education is important. People are asking about this stuff. I've been around it a long time. I know a lot about it, but there are people that know much more than me. And we're going to be telling you some of the people that we think have good strategies and good knowledge on these topics, and we're going to be sharing it with you. So here's some things to do from tonight, okay? Watch the VIX, all right? The VIX, when you see the VIX higher, that means more market volatility. There's going to be more selling, okay? And in fact, I'm predicting a bad week for the market this week. There's going to be some major earnings reports this week. I would not be long anything. And if I made some posts where I bought Tesla at 220, I sold it this week at 260. And so made a quick 25% in 2 weeks. I also bought Ethereum at the bottom that I predicted at 1,500, which is basically the bottom, but I sold it back at 1,800. I don't think it's going to go back over 2,000 anytime soon. So I think Bitcoin will be going back down below 80. And it could happen as early as this week. I think that Ethereum will retest 1,500 and possibly go below 1,500. I've told everybody I would not buy Ripple over $1.50. So if you own any of those things right now, I would be taking profits. If you bought in a couple weeks ago when I told you to buy, I would be selling. And I would be watching the VIX. I would be watching CNBC. I would be watching earnings. And here's the thing that I talked about in videos in the past, which is people that are retail investors, people that are like you and I, that are not the professionals, that are not hedge funds, that are not moving, hundreds of millions of dollars or even billions of dollars in stock. They're the ones that tiptoe into the market as the market goes up. People are buying. They're kind of bandwagon. But then whenever they see the selling and they see the red and they panic, they go quickly to the exits. This is phenomenon of stair-stepping up or tiptoeing up, but then they run for the exits. And that's why you have this exacerbated selling on the way down, because people that are retail investors, the everyday Joe Blow, mom and pop that buy and sell stocks or crypto, which is what the majority of crypto investments are now. There are more institutional funds and hedge funds, but they're only really in the big coins. There's no hedge funds or big banks in any of the outliers or the crap coins, the meme coins, or any of that. So you're going to get big swings, big moves, and especially to the downside. It will go much faster to the downside than it will to the upside. So you're going to see panic selling when it's red for several days in a row. You have people that are tired of seeing red, and so they wind up selling. So you're going to see faster to the downside than you will see to the upside. So keep this in mind and stay tuned. I'll keep kind of mixing in some of this content along with what we've been talking about in our regular mentorship sessions. And if you have questions on some of this stuff, I don't mind you reaching out to me. But I want to try to continue to provide value for this mentorship group. We've been talking a lot about new things, what to do with our new people. But tonight we talked a lot on the corporate call about our retention. So I wanted to talk about that and refer you back to that video where I talked about our retention back in August, but it has gotten much better and our churn has dropped dramatically. There was a delta where once we got to a certain point, people completely stopped canceling. So we were doing great in those first 90 days, but it's even better than I could have possibly imagined. We have built what I think will be the greatest membership retention in the history of any type of membership, MLM or not, okay? I mean, we're doing things that are keeping members in, keeping them engaged. Our open rates are great for our newsletters, for our push notifications, logging onto our app, using our app, searching on our app, and it's just going to get better in Vegas next month. So if you guys have not booked Vegas, you need to book Vegas, because when you come to Vegas, you're going to have an opportunity with this Vegas promotion that we announced yesterday and tonight to basically 10x your investment on Vegas. I mean, there will be people that make thousands of dollars because they came to Vegas doing what they were already going to do anyway. And you're going to be able to send these announcements out directly through the app, and no one else is. And you're not going to, nobody else that's the people that are not in Vegas are not going to have this opportunity. So get registered for Vegas. You can do it inside the app. Click on the fire icon in the app or in the the Bright Life membership space where you go and do your bucket list trips. It's all there together in one place. So make sure you get your tickets bought to Vegas. Remember, new people that join, if they purchase their ticket to Vegas in their first 7 days, they get 2 for the price of 1. And all they have to do is do a support request to assign their additional ticket. So if you haven't gotten your ticket for Vegas yet, get your new person to buy it and sell it to you at half price. And then you both get to go for half price. So take advantage of that. We'll be back here on Wednesday night with a regular scheduled mentorship. I wanted to talk about the market tonight. Get your Robinhood account set up. Get your E-Trade account set up. I will be mixing in some additional investment content. Go back and watch my December 19th Instagram video. Go back and watch the previous videos in September and October where I talk about the recession is coming. And then watch the August 10th Bright Life training where I talk about retention and I predict exactly what's been happening with product-based MLMs being squeezed by China and production and inflation and supply chain. And I talked about all of it, and now it's happening. So all the things I predicted are happening. So go back and watch it. You'll see how I talked about it. And that way you're in the know. And it's never been a better time to get started with Bright Life and be building this business. It is completely recession proof. It is completely tariff proof. None of the rhetoric that is going on right now. And by the way, the tariff talk is just an excuse. I've talked about it in my videos. Whenever the market goes up, they don't have to have an excuse. But as soon as the market starts going down, they have to have a scapegoat. So now it's Trump. The approval ratings are dropping. Everybody's blaming him. But this is something that needed to happen. I mean, they needed to do something like this, and it's been drastic, but this is just an excuse. The recession was already here. The stock market was at an all-time high. The valuations were ridiculous. NVIDIA was over $3 trillion. Apple was almost $4 trillion. It took Apple 40 years to get to $1 trillion market cap. And in 3 to 4 years, it went from $1 trillion market cap to almost $4 trillion. That makes no sense whatsoever. It was just dumb money flowing in to these companies. And I talked about it in December. That was the top. The prices and the market will not go back to where it was in December. Don't worry, it's not happening anytime soon. It could be a decade or longer before you see anywhere near where the prices were back in December. So keep that in mind. Be prepared. Go watch the VIX. Look at the charts. Look at what's happened every time the VIX has hit 12. You've seen a spike. You've seen market volatility. And stay tuned. We'll continue to talk about this stuff. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. I did record this. This will go on my personal YouTube channel, not on the Bright Life channel. So if you want to replay this or share it with your friends, but get your Robinhood account set up, get an E-Trade account set up. You can take advantage of this stuff. You can short stocks, you can buy puts, and be prepared for the drops that are going to continue to come. The lows will be retested. The lows that we saw a month ago, they're coming back. Just be prepared, okay? So if you're long, I would highly suggest taking profits, especially if you bought a couple of weeks ago when I told you to. Take your profits now while you can and be ready to buy back in when you get the bottom. My personal YouTube page, you can just go to youtube.com/Wes Melcher, and this video will be posted there later tonight, along with the other videos in the mentorship series as well that you can catch up on. So appreciate you guys being here tonight. Look forward to seeing all of you back on Wednesday night, where we'll get back into some Bright Life training and catch up on what we were working on last week. But I think this is really time sensitive because I do think the market is headed back down in crypto and in also stocks. You'll see it tomorrow and this week. Just stay tuned. I promise it's coming.